Hi there, Heidi Heron here. Thank you so much for joining me for today's webinar looking at neurological levels. It is my pleasure today to be able to share this concept and this tool with you that is so robust and can be used in so many different aspects of life. Today we're going to be investigating the neurological levels as a investigation tool to be able to identify where in life a problem or an issue might exist, and then some of the NLP tools that go with it. I've been coaching and training NLP now for 17 years, and it's amazing how much neurological levels comes up, not just the alignment process, but simply just thinking along the lines of neurological levels and where things exist for us in life. And regardless if you're new to NLP, which you'll gain a lot of information about how the neurological levels works in our world, as well as some of the tools that go with it, or if you're already trained in NLP, this will give you a great insight and refresher, reminder, and upskill into the different neurological levels, how they all work together, and the different processes that are connected. If you are new to NLP, or as a great refresher, let's take a look real quick at what NLP is. So ultimately, NLP is a set of tools that can be used in all aspects of life. And my definition for NLP, especially when it's coming from me using NLP or being the one that is in charge of using it for my life or as a coach or a consultant with someone else, is it's how I can understand how the language of my mind creates the programs that we run in life. So the language of our mind comes from the five senses, what we see or say or taste or touch or smell, and that automatically triggers and connects to the different neurology and chemicals being secreted into our body, which ultimately instantly tap into the programs of emotion, behaviors, and thoughts that we run in life. So when I can understand that for me, I can enhance, change, alter those programs that are coming up by understanding how they were created by the language of my mind in the first place. And when I'm working with other people, I can do the same. I'm listening to how they're saying something or the concepts and the ideas that they're delivering, so I can start to understand how the language of their mind creates and taps into the programs that they're running, so we can change those, enhance those, or develop them further, even create new patterns and programs that will be more efficient and effective in life. Today, I want to introduce you to the neurological levels, which was originally logical levels developed by Gregory Bateson. And Gregory Bateson looked at people and development and culture, saying that everyone has a different environment, different behaviors, different capabilities, and beliefs and values that make up who they are and make up their evolution of life. And in the 70s, probably 80s actually, 70s, 80s, Robert Dilts, who is one of my trainers as well as one of the developing founders of NLP, he went on to take the logical levels and connect it to what's happening neurologically. And what he identified is that the mind, the brain, is actually in different environments based on what's going on, tapping into different behaviors that we have because of different capabilities that we're accessing, because of different beliefs and values. And there's actually a different neurological connection or neurological response that's happening in those moments. Now, Robert Dilts went on to say that the environment where we live, the behaviors we use, the capabilities we're tapping into, the beliefs and values that we have in those moments leads to who we are. And who we are is driven by the purpose or the intention behind that moment. Now, there isn't just one identity that we each have. We have different identities, probably in different environments. For example, if I'm out with a drink with my girlfriends, I probably have a bit of a different identity than if I'm out for drinks with my boss looking for a promotion, which would be the purpose of going for drinks. Maybe not all the time, but in this particular example. So I'm going to have different different identities in those different environments, I will also have different behaviors. For example, I have different behaviors when I go to church and it's a quiet service than when I am with my nieces and nephews and we're playing a game at the park. Totally different behaviors. I'll also have different behaviors if I'm at my grandma's house versus if I'm just at my house on my own, because I have different skills or capabilities and I'm tapping into different beliefs and values about those behaviors that I exhibit because of who I am and the purpose of where I'm at that moment. There's a few trainers that have looked into, NLP trainers that have looked into neurological levels in different ways. Robert Dilts says that there's a hierarchy and it moves from the environment to the purpose, and Michael Hall says that there's no hierarchy, they just exist. And I can see from both perspectives, but it makes more sense to me that there is the hierarchy. So I'll be sharing neurological levels with you today in the aspect of a hierarchy. And from that hierarchical standpoint, can't even say that word, it's an interesting element. From NLP, there's not many issues or problems that come to us that are environment problems. That would be the when and where somebody is or the with whom somebody is. Most of the time, if there's an environment thing like it's cold in here, I actually need to change a behavior. I need to turn up the heater or close a window or close the door or put on a sweater or get a blanket out. So there actually needs to be a behavior element in order to change an environment. We actually will step over to our friend Albert Einstein and learn a bit from him that we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking that we used when we created them. So therefore, if we do have an problem or an issue at the level of environment, then we need to go to the higher levels. If I have a capabilities issue about how I'm doing something, I may need to build new capabilities and new skills or change some beliefs. And even adapting my capabilities will start to build new beliefs and new values. If I'm having a behavior that is unbecoming or unresourceful or not so useful for me, then I actually can't just change the behavior. I need to tap into different capabilities or beliefs and values, or even looking at who I am in those moments. So let's take a little bit more in-depth look at each of these neurological levels, because each of these neurological levels look at something different than the other. So at the bottom, which is actually the top of the light globe here, we have the environment. The environment, the questions that go with that, or the concepts, is where, when, and with whom. So I might have an environment of home, or I might have an environment of work, and it's also the with whom I'm there with, because I might have different behaviors and capabilities and beliefs and identity if I'm at home by myself versus if I'm home and my family is there. I might have slightly different neurological levels connecting. The environment isn't just the where and when, it is also the with whom, because I can have the same environment. Let's say I'm in a boardroom, but as soon as the with whom changes, my behaviors, my capabilities, my different beliefs and values, and a slightly different identity might pop up. Now, let's talk about that for a second. I am always going to be me. You're going to see Heidi wherever you go. Wherever I go, I always take me with me, say, strangely enough. But there might be a slightly different version of me based on the beliefs and values that I'm using in that moment, because of the capabilities that I'm tapping into and using, because of the behaviors that I'm using in that environment. So if I'm in a boardroom and I'm in a team meeting that I'm leading, I might have a bit of a different identity than if I'm just a participant in that meeting. I might be in the same environment of the boardroom, but I'm now recruiting somebody, and I will have different neurological levels happening, including a different identity. It'll be different again if I'm talking to the manager of the bank or a lawyer or a client. So the with whom is quite important within the environment as well. Now, NLP doesn't generally change the where, the when, or the with whom, but we can identify, do we need to tap into different behaviors, capabilities, beliefs and values, identity, or purpose. So our behaviors is what you do. So these are the actual demonstratable behaviors. And in NLP, we have a presupposition or an assumption that says a person's behavior is the most important information about that person. And one of the reasons that that presupposition exists is because it's the only thing you can see. You can't actually see somebody's capabilities or their beliefs and values. We don't really know somebody's identity, and we often don't know their intention or the purpose behind something. But what we can see, what's demonstrable, is a person's behavior. Now, we can have different behaviors. In fact, we could behave in any way we want. This is called acting. And there's a frame of NLP called act as if, where we can step in and act as if and utilize the behavioral components as if we were capable or as if we had the beliefs. And that's good to a point unless we need to act as if forever. Now, kids are great at as acting as if. It's the whole pretend element. For hours, kids can pretend to play house or play school or fireman or whatever else kids are pretending at that moment. And they really become it. They really are that identity because they're using those behaviors. Even if they're being a firefighter, they might not be fighting a real fire, but they're behaving as if they are with the garden hose or a imaginary hose or whatever. But in that moment, they're tapping into different capabilities and beliefs and values of what it would be like to be that firefighter, the identity of it, and for the purpose of, maybe helping or saving or putting out the fire. But we've got all kinds of behaviors, useful behaviors, unuseful behaviors, resourceful, unresourceful. And most of the time we just kind of take it for granted and go, that's how I am. That's just the behavior that I'm having at the moment. But if it's not the behavior that you want to be having, if it's not aligned with where you want to be going and your purpose, we can actually start to change it. Now, our capabilities, sometimes we don't change our behaviors because we don't seem to feel capable of it. This is the how we do something. If you just tell an alcoholic, stop drinking, they will say, but I don't know how. If you say to someone who is continually getting into relationships and that are not good for them, and you say, hey, just be on your own for a while, they don't know how. They don't necessarily have the skills or the capabilities in order to do that. And skills and capabilities, anytime you're learning something and it's a new skill, you're going to a class, you're having a coach, or you're learning through a book or a video, you're developing new capabilities. Now, we've got lots of capabilities inside of us that we can tap into as well from different environments and different behaviors that we're utilizing. But we don't all use the same ones. Um, let's take, for example, golf. If I were playing golf, let's not take me, well, because I played golf very, very badly because I don't have the capabilities. So if somebody is playing golf very well, they have the capabilities, they have the how to do something. They know how to hold the club. They know how to utilize their mind to understand the velocity or the speed in which to hit and the force in which to hit the ball and where specifically to hit the ball and at what angle to put the club. And they have the how of how to hit that ball in the way that they need it to go in the direction for the length that they want to get as close to where they want it to go because they've got the capabilities. They have the capabilities because they practice that behavior over and over and over. Now, somebody might go, hey, Heidi, let me teach you the capabilities. Let me teach you how to do this. And they may show me, and I might do the behavior of the capability of how to hold the golf club, of how to put my hands, of how to hold my back, of how to stand, of how to bend my knees, of how to bend my ankles in the strange angles and hit the ball. But I can guarantee you that without the behavioral practice, I will have the concept of the capabilities, but not really the how. Because my capabilities of how to do something need to tap back into my behaviors. This is also why, learning NLP through a book or just through videos is usually not enough because it's a theoretical how, not a practical how with behavioral demonstration in various environments. So it's interesting that we have these different concepts of us. Let's take and look at just the environment, behavior, and capabilities of somebody who has different behaviors at home and work. Let's say, for example, at home, somebody is kind of angry and agitated and frustrated, and they fly off the handle very quickly. And they might yell as a way of getting attention or a way of getting something done. I know a family friend that is almost volatile at home, and he comes home and he's just erratic and he's irrational and he yells and it's not comfortable, and it's just a yelling match with him basically. But at work, apparently he is kind and he is soft spoken and he is gentle. And I am so intrigued of how in the world do people get that way? How do people have such different behaviors in different environments? Neurological levels will actually tell me why. So in his environment of work, that's the where and when he is, his behaviors are kind and gentle and caring. He listens, he responds kindly, he speaks in a quiet voice because he has the capabilities. He has those capabilities because of his beliefs and values. His beliefs and values, this is the why we do what we do. Our beliefs are the truths that we hold in life, and a strong belief will have strong emotions tied to that truth. And our values are what is important to us about a situation or about a concept. So the reason why, and when people ask me why do I do this? Why do I get into this relationship? Why do I get angry? Why can't I find a relationship? Why do I spend my money? Why? The simple answer is because. Most people don't like that answer. So the expanded answer is not much longer. Because you have beliefs and values that align with what you're doing. Beliefs and values that tap into the capabilities. So this guy is capable. He's very, very capable of being kind and listening and speaking gently and talking in a normal inside voice. And his behaviors are aligned with those capabilities in that environment of work. However, at home, the volatileness comes out, the anger comes out, the vulgarness comes out, the yelling comes out, and he does not know how to do an inside voice because his at that moment the why, anytime somebody asks why, what they're really looking at is what are the beliefs and values that I'm using. They might not be looking at that. They're looking for reasons. I'm looking into what are the beliefs and values that uphold those capabilities and behaviors. So he has certain beliefs and values like I can just be me and my family has to listen to me and it's important to rule with an iron fist and it needs to be my way or the highway and you have to yell in order to get things done and my family doesn't respect me. So any of those beliefs and values would inhibit him being able to tap into the capabilities of being calm, of being quiet, of using his inside voice. So in the moments where he's using those behaviors in the environment of home, it's because the beliefs and values have kind of negated the capabilities and are tapping into different behaviors. And neurologically, he's responding in a totally different way. My guess is the people that are at work would not recognize who he is at home. And his family probably wouldn't recognize who he is at work. The who he is the identity of somebody. And we have a different identity for each environment that we go into. Oftentimes, through my years of training and coaching and therapy and consulting and just using NLP and talking to people and having friends, I have found so many people on the hunt for who am I? The hunt for their identity. And ooh, what if you didn't really have one? What if you didn't have one identity? What if you had many, many, many different identities of who you truly are in any different environment? Remember, I'm going to be a bit of a different Heidi if I'm with my grandma versus if I'm at a bachelorette party with my girlfriends. I'm going to be a bit of a different version of me if I am at church versus at the movies with my friends. I will probably still be quiet because that's my beliefs. You should be quiet at church unless you're singing, and you should be quiet during movies. but my capabilities are going to be different. I'm tapping into different behaviors in those different environments, and all of that leads to who I am. For me, and this is just for me, my identity is, I want my identity. I don't want it to be a who I am. I could probably give you lots of different who I ams, but they would be based on jobs or tasks or behaviors, really. But to me, who I am is I'm authentic, I'm integral, and I'm aligned. And I'm aligned in my beliefs and values, my capabilities, behaviors, and environment, hopefully in any situation. And when I'm not, when my identity is not aligned with who I want to be and who I am in all of these neurological levels, that's when I start to utilize my NLP skills, identify which level a problem exists, and then I can start to change it or alter it or create something new. So I don't think we have one identity. I think it's too hard of a question to answer because we have different identities in different situations. Now, some people don't, but I don't know what I think about that. That's probably a whole different webinar or question and answer segment. So I'll keep thinking about that and I'll get back to you. But our purpose is our identity, our intention. Our purpose is our driver, our motivation, our mission. And sometimes we look at purpose being the overall goal, the overall aspect of life. But if we look at it in situational aspects, it's the purpose and the intention at that moment. In NLP, a presupposition is every behavior has a positive intention. Not just the behaviors, but the capabilities, the beliefs, and the identity in that moment of the environment has a positive intention or purpose. So the purpose is looking at for or what else or where else. And so we can align our purpose with our identity, beliefs and values, capabilities, behavior, and environment. So let's go back to me having a drink with my boss. If I'm having a drink with my boss, my intention may be to build rapport and to gain credibility in order to be aligned for the next job promotion. Therefore, with that purpose in mind, I'm going to have a different identity than if we're just out for Friday night drinks. And I'll have different beliefs and values about who I am. I'll have different capabilities that I'm tapping into and different behaviors. So I'd probably have one drink for that with that boss that I'm looking to get a promotion from, versus if we were out on a Friday afternoon with a whole bunch of people, I might have, 3 or 4 or more drinks than maybe just one of the same one 3 or 4 times. But I'm going to have different behaviors because my purpose is different. My intention is different. If my intention is to let my hair down, I don't need a drink to do that, but it's fun at the same time. So we've got these different neurological levels. So knowing that, I want to start to look at and help you identify which NLP processes kind of go within the various neurological levels. Now, there are hundreds and hundreds of different NLP techniques. In our practitioner and master practitioner, which is the level 1 and level 2 NLP training, I would say we're looking at between about 70 and I probably ought to count it at some point in 100 different NLP tools for different things and different aspects. Each of them can be tied into the neurological levels. And then beyond that, from various books and webinars and courses and workshops and advanced trainings, there are hundreds and hundreds of more NLP tools as well. So let's take a look at a few of these. These are definitely not all of them. They're just a few of them. As I mentioned before, there's not really that many tools from the environment level of the when or the where or the with whom. Most of the time, especially when we're starting to look at Einstein's aspect, that if we do have an environmental problem, we need to go to the levels above it to figure out where we need to play. So some of the tools that we can use for the level of behaviors, remember behaviors are what you do. We can utilize these tools. And I won't go into what they are. If you're already NLP trained, you can jump into your NLP manual and review and revise some of these. And if you're not yet NLP trained, come learn. So some of the tools for the behavior level is new behavior generator, circle of excellence, resource anchors, integrating anchors, collapsing anchors, presuppositions exercise, some modality changes, and future pacing. And this will all help us tap into the different behaviors that we can have, create new behaviors, model different behaviors, change them, enhance them, do more of those different behaviors or new behaviors that we want. Capabilities, again, capabilities are the how we do what we do. And the different tools that we might be utilizing at the level of capabilities include meta programs, which are the filters beyond our filters or our thinking, our Disney planning process, the perceptual positions exercise, NLP communication model, visual kinesthetic dissociation process, communicating with symptoms, the meta model, the NLP formula, and well-formed outcome are some of the tools that we might utilize at the level of capabilities. Beliefs and values. Remember I mentioned before that beliefs are what is true for us and values are what is important to us. And that question of why does a person do what they do, that really taps into this concept of beliefs and values. I would say the majority, 80 to 90%, 90 to 95 even, of the clients that I'm working with or my own stuff that I'm working with in life comes down to why do I do what I do is because of the beliefs that I hold and the values that I have. So some of the NLP tools that I can utilize to help create new beliefs and values, change them, enhance them, or get rid of old ones that are just not serving us are things like eliciting and changing values, doing a beliefs assessment, a submodality belief change, unconscious pattern change, neurological levels alignment, parts integration, tunneling, re-imprinting, change personal history, a sacred journey, mapping across meta programs, collapsing anchors, and even colluding and colliding beliefs, or colliding including even. Now, quite a few of those are more master practitioner and above processes. The Master Practitioner Program Level 2 goes much more in depth and much more enriched from a psychological and neurological point of view to creating deep depth and width change within the unconscious mind and the programs and patterns that we're running, specifically along the lines of beliefs and values. Our identity, again, is who we are. And sometimes when we have an identity crisis of not knowing who we are, it's simply because the other levels aren't necessarily aligned. But knowing that we need to go above a level to transcend who we are, that will help us to then align who we are with our beliefs and values, our capabilities, behaviors, and environment. Some of those NLP techniques that we might be using here include neurological levels alignment, parts integration, the unconscious pattern change, core transformations, self-concept, and perceptual positions. And all of those tools will help a person become more aligned, more congruent, and hopefully more integral with where they're at, if that is a part of their desires. And our purpose, again, is that aspect that's above and beyond us. It's the intention of the moment or our mission or our purpose or the greater whole aspect. And it really is a driving factor of all of this. And then with NLP, in addition to just simply asking, chunking up, which is our hierarchy of ideas questions that will identify the purpose or the positive intention behind something, we can also be utilizing NLP tools like neurological levels alignment, the perceptual positions exercise, core transformations, Disney planning process, well-formed outcome, future pacing, and wise old sage. And some of these processes come from more advanced trainings as well. So there's lots and lots of tools that we can use to align our neurological levels. And not just to align them, but to identify which neurological level does an issue or a problem exist on so that I can work with that level or the levels above it. I'm utilizing and tapping into the neurological levels as an investigation tool in most of my coaching sessions, therapy sessions, training, consulting, because this will help tap into something. If I'm going into a company and they say, hey, can you coach my staff? I might actually do a needs analysis and find out there's a skills gap where we can build some capabilities and it turns into a training training thing. And then I might want to do some consulting in order to make sure that those new capabilities are being demonstrated in behaviors. And I also might want to do some coaching to help to align beliefs and values. So one simple job becomes a larger project. And in our NLP, the level 3 NLP trainers and consulting, we actually start looking at how to unpack, are they capabilities? Is it behaviors, beliefs and values? Are we creating an identity change and shift in individual or in team or culture of company? And does it align with the purpose, the mission of all of that? So if you're looking to develop those skills as a trainer or a consultant or a coach, then that level 3 NLP trainer certification and consulting certification will be useful for you there. So today we have taken a look at many different things, an understanding of those different neurological levels and how to identify where a problem or an issue may exist, and also which NLP tools go with each of those different neurological levels, which is an important aspect. Again, if you're already trained in NLP, I'm sure that this has opened your eyes to new understandings about tracking change and understanding which processes to utilize with people. And if you're not yet trained in NLP, hopefully this has given you an insight into the power and the sustenance of NLP, because there's so much we can learn, so much that we can learn, and so much that we can share. So I do hope that I'll see you again very soon, either online at another webinar or one of our online trainings, on our Facebook group where we've got some absolutely wonderful discussions going on, and even at one of our trainings coming up soon. Thank you very much for your time today. Enjoy your neurological levels investigation, and I will see you next time.